Gather around.
I remember a particular day.
It's the untold stories
You can be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Like the night I ran over Andy Preston in the car park.
of footballers past.
Yes, I was doing donuts.
I know you were, bro. You ran over your own teammate.
Highly illegal.
Out of
No, that's
VFL
it.
Park, wasn't it?
Hey,
Waverley.
Yeah.
this one will be all right because Damo's
Coming
with
out of late night Superbox.
Ian Payton last week. Very, very good. Great feedback on Craig Evans a couple of weeks ago.
This is not funny. This is serious,
Oh,
Bill.
well.
This
Well, this one will be
story
all right.
you're about to hear, untold stories.
Gee, it wanna be good.
Was a matter of life and death.
Oh.
Literally, happened back in 1988.
Right.
And I was at the club at the time.
Collingwood.
Before you cracked it?
Now the players decide to go away on one of these.
Deputy vice.
Yes, I was the deputy vice captain.
Deputy vice.
Deputy vice captain, I was.
Imagine you in a leadership team.
But you wouldn't get a go. Deputy vice.
Hey, listen.
Deputy vice.
I actually, we did a leadership course, the 10 potential leaders, and it was with the SOG, and
Yeah.
I actually came out on top. And
I'm not buying that.
I wasn't that senior, I couldn't be anointed the captain.
Deputy vice.
Vice, yep.
Did you ever toss a coin or?
Deputy Vice, no, I don't think so. Anyway, so this happened in 1988, and this was a team building pre-season, a couple of weeks before. Take them out in the bush. You know, it was going through all that army thing and SOG thing where you go out in the bush and you live and you eat bears and berries. All that sort of stuff.
Koala bears.
Bacchus March, wasn't
And it was no, but it was. I think it was run by Tony Royden, the guy that ran the Bacchus March.
Shep.
Yeah,
I've done that one.
Yeah, well, this was a bit harder than that one
Oh.
because this wasn't at Bacchus March. This was in inhospitable territory, right?
Yes.
Right up in the mountain ranges of Victoria. Now, Paul Tuddenham, a famous name at Collingwood, of
Very
course,
famous name.
not necessarily because he was that famous, but his dad was.
big
Paul
nose.
played a few games and did okay, but
married well.
married Joe. Paul, welcome to you.
See, good to be here.
Oh, very
Geez,
good.
you'd be pumped with that introduction, Paul.
Well, I did hear BT describe me as a friend. I prefer acquaintance.
Very good. Now, Paul, here we are, pre-season 1988. The team go away. I couldn't be with you because, I couldn't be with you, so I stayed back in Melbourne. And you went away for a couple of days. Take it from there. How many of you? What were you doing and what happened?
Your absence was noted, Brian, and I think you were very happy that you didn't end up going. But we ended up going up to Mount Bogong and the surrounds, and we did a camp for 2 days, and then they sent us off into the bush to have a walk around for a couple of days, and said took the buses into a remote spot and said we'll go out, we'll do a loop, and we'll end up back at the buses. 2 days later, we're expecting to see the buses, and the two SAS guys with us said, we're a little bit worried. We'll send a scouting party ahead. The scouting party went ahead and they said, yes, definitely recognise the terrain. So we're all happy. We're dancing around the fires. We ate all of our food and basically got up in the morning expecting to see the buses arrive over the horizon.
So you thought that you were at the meet point already?
Done.
We thought we were done and dusted, and we ate all of our food, like everything. As I said, we had a party around the fire at night, and we were expecting to see the buses the next morning and then head back to Melbourne, but it wasn't to be. We kept going over the next rise and into the next valley, and we got to night time the next night, and they basically said, we're lost. We're going to have to go back the way we came. So
how long have you been lost at this stage? A day?
It was only that day because they were expecting us to get there in the morning. So basically, though, but we had to do 2 and nearly 3 days walk without food, going back the way we came. So it turned into a disaster.
Did you have water?
We had plenty of water because there was running water, stream. We were crossing rivers and all of the rest.
Darren Mullane was one of the the late Darren Mullane was one of the leaders on this group, and was it true that he really came through as one of the great leaders on this trip because he was able to direct you and find you out of trouble?
That was exactly right, BT. And a lot of people sort of misjudged or didn't really understand Pants, but as you would know, like on match day and when you know, when the drums were beating, there's no one that you prefer to have at your side, both on and off the field. And he was fantastic. He really did gel us together because we didn't have a lot of, you know, senior leaders there. I was
Especially with
surprised
Brian
to
back
hear you.
in Melbourne.
Especially with your deputy
surprised
vice
you-
captain back in Melbourne.
I don't ever remember you being deputy vice. We'll have to check the records on that one.
So now listen, you're making a bit light of it, really, Tutty.
Beat it up, Paul, is what he's trying to tell you.
I won't say you were close to death, but you had run out of food. You were all totally exhausted. I was back at the 21st waiting for you all to arrive.
So
that
you're
night.
at a party?
Yeah, I was at a party waiting for him, and no one was at the party for Joffa Pritchard's 21st. So how close were you to fainting?
Well, you didn't let me finish the story, Brian.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we got to that night, and they said we're lost. We have to backtrack. So we basically walked all night, and then we stopped like midday the next day. And at that stage, there were guys who were in serious trouble. We basically walked non-stop for 22 hours or something like that. Guys were, you know, running out of batteries. You know, guys were having, you know, because we were having all these river crossings. They had blisters. Athos Harusalakis couldn't walk.
Oh, the karate man.
Gav Kosiska went off into the trees with a machete and, you know, started chopping trees down, and blokes were dropping left, right, and centre. So the cops were called, search parties were out, and I think it was another day before we made it back to where the buses were, and there were guys in some serious trouble. The police were out looking for us, and we got to the buses and staggered into them and went to the local milk bar and cleaned them out. We basically sat stuffing our faces for an hour.
And what were the repercussions for the SAS that designed and took you on this very safe route?
Well, I think let's put it this way. You know, occupational health and safety wasn't high on the list of footy clubs back in those days. You know, we weren't well equipped. You know, we weren't decked out in North Face and, you know, hiking gear. We were ill equipped, and I think Lee went absolutely off his tree after that all happened, and things were run a lot differently after that. I think for a lot of footy clubs after that, because that was a real wake up call.
Now, Brian, that's one of the great untold stories.
Brian, you're at a party.
Where were you, Bristol?
Your teammates are nearly dying.
I'm at the 21st. I'm
21st.
coming off ankle surgery. So, you know, I couldn't be there as the deputy vice. But, so that was interesting. I remember they all came back and eventually got to the party about 10 o'clock that night, and they were absolutely, totally exhausted, spent, cooked.
But they still got to the
And
party.
they looked, and they just looked different. They looked like they were shagged.
Oh, changed people.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah,
And
some players lost over 7 or 8 kilos, so over a stone. But at the end of the day, BT, it was one of those things. You know, that was I think the start of Collingwood's run. You know, we made the finals in '88, but struggled a little bit. And then after that, obviously, '89 we were good, and '90 we were fantastic. So what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yep, it was the start of some good things at Collingwood. There you go. Well, Paul Tuddenham's
Well
been
done,
out
Paul.
there to,
Paul.
tell
Very
us about
good.
untold
Tudders.
stories. Check that deputy vice thing. I think you'll find it's right.
Well, you weren't a leader, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yes. Even better.
Yeah.
Well done, Paul. Thanks for that.
Thanks, guys.